start with a flea flicker to open up the night. And he connects with Galladay.
Sup, everybody, and welcome to the Week 5 recap of the Flea Flicker with Joey D and Timmy B. Joey D, you weren't here on our Saturday episode, but welcome back, and how are you feeling so far?
Feeling good. It was a fun week of football. Good to be back. It feels weird, kind of changing our schedule up, but that's what this year's been. A bunch of schedule or reschedules all over the place. So we just got to keep rolling with the punches, right?
Absolutely. We definitely had to audible with Tuesday night football, and then because of Tuesday night football, the game on Thursday night was supposed to be the Bills and the Chiefs. A great game, great matchup. Now that's moved to Monday night. We'll go ahead and pick that in our Saturday episode, but thank you again to both of our friend Fab. He joined the show on Saturday and Sunday. We got his picks in. Fab, thank you. We'll have you back on for sure. Saturday we'll have a new guest, but if you want to be a guest like him, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your pick, or just comment anything really on this episode. There's no game to pick, so just comment your thoughts on the game. But Joe, let's just hop right into these football games, man. We have a lot to talk about. A big injury that happened that we'll get to. We're going to start off with the Los Angeles Rams and the Washington football team. The Rams won 30-10. We saw Kyle Allen get knocked around a little bit, knocked out of the game for caution. We saw Alex Smith take the football field for the first time in years. Yeah. And that was a really great moment. And then, Aaron Donald sacked him like 20 times. So we got his welcome back. But Rams win 30-10. Joe, what were some of your thoughts from the game? What did you like from the Rams? What didn't you like from the football team? Just tell me all.
Yeah, the Rams are starting to do a good job of just kind of spreading the ball around to all their weapons. Gerald Everett is starting to become a little bit bigger part of the offense than Tyler Higbee right now. Robert Woods having a couple good games back to back. It's just interesting to see who's going to have the hot hand each week in LA with the Rams. 1 week it's Malcolm Brown. A lot more recently it's kind of been Darrell Henderson the last few weeks. Jared Goff has just done a good job of spreading the ball around, not turning it over. Aaron Donald and that Rams D-line. I really wish that Alex Smith could have gone up against pretty much any other D-line for his first game back, because I was just holding my breath every time he got hit. They just really couldn't do much on offense, even with the change to Kyle Smith or Kyle Allen and Alex Smith. So, we'll see how that kind of progresses with, Kyle Allen being the starter a couple more weeks. But, not very encouraging for the Washington football team. Dwayne Haskins just not showing up to practices or to the game. He seems really mentally checked out at this point, and that definitely does not help his trade value at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said it on the Saturday, Sunday episode that with Fab that, we're going to see the Reds or the football team's other issues aside from just quarterback. So, we did see that, and, good thing on the Rams side, they got out that game relatively injury-free. It was raining here up in Maryland, up in D.C., and, we all know with FedEx Field, so good for the Rams to stay relatively healthy. And I liked what I saw from Jared Goff as well. He was scrambling a little bit more, but you nailed it. It's whoever's going to have the hot hand, and that was it in their Super Bowl run. One game it was, Cooper Kupp going insane. The next was Robert Woods going insane, Gerald Everett, Tyler Higbee. So plenty of weapons from there, but we all picked the Rams, obviously.
And now the Rams, they're 4-1, and their 4 wins are all against the NFC East.
Hey, beat the teams that you are supposed to beat. Yeah, beat the teams you're supposed to beat. And they played a good game against the Bills, too. They went down big, but they did come back.
They had to come all the way back, yeah.
But we'll find out in the next couple of weeks just how good this Rams team is. But, hey, beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. We all got a win on the board. I got 2 because I picked Nick Foles and the Bears to win. So I'm 2-0. You guys are 1-1. Now we're moving to the Jacksonville Jaguars and Houston Texans and Romeo Crennel's interim coaching debut for 2020. Yeah. This is like the second or third time he's taken over as a head coach. But he propels the Texans to a 30-14 victory. Jaguars had a couple of opportunities. They went for it on a 4th down. James Robinson fumbled and didn't even get the first down.
Yeah.
But I liked what I saw from the Texans. They didn't blow you out offensively with any good numbers. Brandon Cooks had a good game, but they just did enough to win, and the Texans won the game, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like the team just had a little bit more energy. We're playing with a little bit more juice. It seemed like, maybe a little bit of the passing plays were a little more schemed to what Deshaun Watson does best, get him on the run, play action. He was, spreading the ball around kind of like Jared Goff was. Brandon Cooks had a good game. I think Will Fuller, he contributed as well. Darren Fells also showing up. And I mean, on the Jaguars side of the ball, they just really couldn't do anything on the offensive side. And I mean, that defense has not been good at all this year, really. I mean, they just really don't have anybody there. So, eventually they're going to break. I mean, they won that one game, offense being able to put up some points. But I mean, it's tough to expect Gardner Minshew and the Jaguars offense to be able to do that. One note on their defensive side of the ball, former Eagles second-round draft pick corner Sidney Jones with 4 pass breakups and an interception, and like his second game starting for the Jaguars. So
Well done, Sydney.
great job there. I'll get to a couple people who used to be Eagles who had good weeks in the NFL this week.
Absolutely, and my big concern with the Texans is just getting that run game on board. They're still trying to figure it out with the two Johnsons, David and Duke. Okay. David Johnson and Duke Johnson. Shouldn't say David Duke on this show. But anyways, I just need to see a little bit more from that running game, but they did just enough to win. Like I said, I picked the Texans, so I'm 3-0. You guys went Jacksonville. Jacksonville's 1-15 is still in play, so
Man.
I legally have to pick against them, whoever they play this week. And we're moving on to Fab's team, the Carolina Panthers, going to the Falcons and caused Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff, the GM, to finally get the pink slip, to finally get fired. That's the word I was looking for. Panthers win 23-16. Didn't look great. DJ Moore did finally wake up, as Fab was saying. As I was saying, he has to wake up. He had that long touchdown. He was running really fast, but the Falcons played a pretty decent game. Both offenses were struggling. Defenses stepped up, and, they were in a position to win this game, only losing by 7 points.
Yeah, I mean, these are games that you would hope the Falcons, with their veteran coaching staff, their veteran core of leaders on the team, you would hope that this is a game that they can win going up against a rookie head coach, a very, very young Carolina Panthers team still trying to find their identity. So, I mean, the fact that it was a close game and they still lost, I think that really did, spell the death knell for Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff. And like their owner said, I mean, they had very high expectations for this year. It was playoffs or bust. And when you're 0-5, it's pretty clear you're not going to go to the playoffs. So, I mean, it was time for them to do it. But, on the flip side, Panthers just, like I said, I mean, they're playing with a lot of energy, a lot of juice. Teddy Bridgewater is doing a good job spreading the ball around. Robbie Anderson is still doing great. And DJ Moore with that big catch and run. That was fun to watch. And Mike Davis still balling out week in and week out.
Still balling out.
He called out Madden on Twitter today, and they actually boosted his rating. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And then another nugget, Rasul Douglas, Eagles' third-round draft pick corner in that same draft that Sidney Jones cut this year, signed with Carolina. Great game in Carolina. I think PFF's, he's a top 5 corner. He might even be number 1 right now for Pro Football Focus. So, it's just great to see all these guys that we draft and are talented just go and be successful elsewhere. But, unfortunately, we're not even done yet. So let's go to the next game, Tim. What we got?
All right. Well, that's it for the Panthers Falcons, according to Joe. The next one we have is, I would say, most exciting and upset of the day. The Las Vegas Raiders going to Kansas City, defeat Patrick Mahomes. I was saying over the weekend pregame that Derek Carr says that this isn't a rivalry because he doesn't win. He was like, 2-10 or 2-8 against the Chiefs and hasn't really beaten Patrick Mahomes, but he went in there. He was throwing the ball around. Henry Ruggs, that first-round wide receiver that they drafted, really stepped up, had a great game all around for the Raiders, and they win 40-32. Joe, some of your thoughts from that Raiders-Chiefs game?
Yeah, I mean, I was just blown away with how much they were containing Patrick Mahomes for most of that game. I mean, 40-32, that's a one-score game, and it shows that obviously the Chiefs ended up putting up a good bit of points. But I mean, for most of that game, just watching it, just seemed like the Raiders were in control defensively. Mahomes wasn't really able to get the ball out to for those big plays to Tyreek or Travis Kelce for most of the game. But I mean, Derek Carr out here just throwing these dimes to Henry Ruggs, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow. Everyone was making plays all across the board. Just really, really impressive stuff by the Raiders. And while we're on the Raiders, another note, our boy Nelson
Aguilar, baby,
out here catching dimes for touchdowns, making big plays with the ball in his hands, looking like the receiver from 2017 when we won the Super Bowl. That man has 3 touchdowns this year already. He had 3 all of last year. So love to see it, especially when the Eagles are struggling at the wide receiver position, but maybe not as much as we thought, which we'll get to.
Yeah, and my big takeaway from this game was it was 24-24 at halftime. The game was tied. The Raiders made great defensive adjustments at halftime and going into the second half because that Chiefs only touchdown was, 3 minutes to go, 2 minutes to go to get down 1 score. So shout out to the Raiders coaching staff and their second half adjustments on the defensive side of the football. And I would have gone for it on 4th down where they got it because, worst case, Pat Mahomes goes down and he ties the game. You go to overtime. So yeah. I'm all for that call. And Joe, you nailed it because the next game we're talking about is your Philadelphia Eagles at the Pittsburgh Steelers. You guys were down 17 points, but you guys made it a game. And then you guys decided to just not cover Chase Claypool the entire game. Chase Claypool had 4 touchdowns, 3 receiving, 1 rushing. Steelers win this game 38-29. Joe, I'll let you go. Talk about the Eagles. Probably mostly bad, but then also good with Travis Fulgham.
Yeah, actually contrary to what you're expecting, like this was the most fun, most enjoyable game I've watched as an Eagles fan so far this year, even though we lost. I mean, it was a really good game. It was back and forth for, the majority of that game until the 4th quarter. Just the big takeaway from this game is Travis Fulgham. We might have found a diamond in the rough because this guy looks legit. I mean, he's out here, going up against one of the best defenses in the NFL, veteran corners, a veteran secondary, and he's getting open and he's making tough catches. It's not like blown coverages or going up against a rookie. Like, these are contested catches. And, he had 10 catches, 150 yards and a touchdown. He was the highest graded wide receiver since Jeremy Maclin back in like 2012. I think with like a 94.8 was his grade out of the game. And I mean, it was great to see Wentz throw those trust passes to him, just be able to count on him being in the right spot. It was really a lot of good things I saw from this game out of Carson Wentz. And I think it was because of Travis Fulgham and the trust that he was having in him, just being in the right spot. I mean, it was a good game. It was a really good game. I mean, Wentz did have the 1 interception, which I think some people think it was a bad interception. He ended up having 2 interceptions. But if you watch that first interception, Zach Ertz got knocked off his route past 5 yards down the field. He was running an in-breaking route. He gets bumped at like 7 or 8 yards by Vince Williams and, throws the timing off the route. So he's not where he's supposed to be when Wentz throws the interception. Should have been illegal contact. The refs were not very good in this game. And then on his second interception, I mean, it was a Hail Mary when we're down 2 scores on 4th and 20. So, I don't fault him for those 2 interceptions at all. Jordan Mailata had a really good game. Really impressed with what I'm seeing from all these backup offensive linemen. Big testament to Jeff Stoutland and what he's doing there, just developing these young guys and having them ready to play. But then on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, there was very, very little good to talk about. I mean, we have the highest paid defensive line. We had 1 sack in the first quarter. And then the rest of the game, Ben Roethlisberger's just getting the ball out of his hands just immediately. Just quick routes, rub routes, underneath passes, just getting the ball out quick and kind of neutralizing our pass rush. And I just don't understand the call at the end of the game. With 3rd and 7, you have Nate Gary lined up over Chase Claypool. I feel like if you see that, you got to either call an audible or call timeout. Jim Short says it's on Doug Peterson to call timeout. It's not something that he can do. I just don't understand how the whole world doesn't see that. I mean, when you see Chase Claypool lined up on Nate Gary and Ben Roethlisberger motioning to him what route to run, like, what's coming. And I mean, Nate Gary has just been abused this year. He's former safety, now linebacker, just been terrible, in coverage all year, which you would think would be a strong suit. So, I mean, definitely discouraging on the defensive side of the ball. It is a good offensive veteran offense, but I was very encouraged by a lot of what I saw on the offensive side of the ball. Miles Sanders, 74-yard touchdown run, pretty dope run. But outside of that, I think he only had like 9 or 19 yards or something like that. So, I mean, not a great day run blocking outside of that one run, which he pretty much did all on his own. And then Zach Ertz just not showing up still. I'm starting to be more on the we should sell at the trade deadline, trade some of these guys like Zach Ertz, maybe Fletcher Cox, start shedding some of those big cap hits on guys who just aren't living up to those expectations. But good game. Really, really enjoyed what I saw out of Travis Fulgham. Really excited to see what he can continue to do.
Yeah, well, I think my takeaway from everything that you just said and, from the Steelers side is the Steelers are 4-0, but their 4 opponents have a combined winning percentage of 143, and they aren't beating these opponents by 10 or more points, like you mentioned with the Rams. Therefore, all 4 of their wins are against the NFC East, but they're, dominating and actually beating these people by more than 10 points, except for that one game against the Giants and I guess the Cowboys. But the Steelers, I can't say frauds because they're undefeated, but I would like to see them play like the Browns this week, the Ravens the week after, to kind of see where this team really is as a football team. But again, beat the guys you're supposed to beat, and you're going to make the playoffs. You're going to make a little playoff run. Excited to see Travis Fulgham, especially on Sunday when he goes up against the best secondary in the NFL in the Baltimore Ravens. So that'll be a good matchup, and I guess we'll really see how good he is if he can get open. But when you're going up against Marlon Humphrey, whatever.
I mean, we'll see. But what most teams have been doing is just their number one DB has been covering Zach Ertz and just neutralizing him. So it'll be interesting to see what teams do now that Travis Fulgham has established himself as at least a competent wide receiver in the NFL. At the very least, it's very hard for me to differentiate between competent and just doing what is expected of you and actually being good, because it's been so long as an Eagles fan since we've actually had a good wide receiver.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's move on to a game that was just kind of boring, except for some Ravens fans. The Cardinals beat the Jets and Joe Flacco by a score of 30-10. Joe Flacco looked decent. His stats were, decent enough, but the Jets are just so bad. They released Le'Veon Bell. But the Cardinals won 30-10. They win pretty easily, and, that nothing too much I have to say about that game. The Cardinals look like the Cardinals that we saw the first couple of weeks. Kyler Murray was moving the ball quite well. And then on the Jets side, Joe Flacco just, needs a little bit more weapons on that team. And clearly it's not just the quarterback play, but hopefully without Le'Veon Bell, Joe Flacco might be able to get a win this week when he starts again. But Joe, any thoughts from Cardinals Jets?
Not a lot. I mean, Chase Edmonds having a little bit bigger role than I think a lot of people expected. I mean, that Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins connection is looking really good. I mean, he had 2 just I think it was 40 or 50-yard bombs to Hopkins on the same drive to get them from their own end zone to the 50, and then from the Jets 40 into the end zone. Just 2 spectacular passes and catches. It's really fun to see that that connection and that chemistry continue to heat up and continue to develop. I mean, that's why DeAndre Hopkins wanted to sign a long-term deal here with the Cardinals and Kyler Murray. He wants to develop that relationship where they can be the best.
Yeah, no, that's what I think too, and I think that the Cardinals did a great job trading with Bill O'Brien to get a good deal like that. But that's pretty much it for Cardinals Jets. I mean, not too much to talk about the Jets, and we nailed everything about the Cardinals.
Any thoughts on where Le'Veon goes?
I'm gonna go with the Bears. I'm gonna say the Bears. The Bears really need to up their running game, and they clearly like signing people. So I'm going to go with the Bears. How about yourself, Joe? Where's Le'Veon Bell going?
So, I mean, it's not like a team is going to claim him off of waivers, because then they'd have to take on his ridiculous contract. So, I mean, he's going to clear waivers and then he's going to be able to pick. And I think he's going to want to go somewhere, number one, where he can compete for a Super Bowl, and number 2, where he's obviously going to have the most opportunity to play. To me, I would think New England would be a really, really good fit. I mean, they don't really have it's not a New England thing to do. That's why I don't think it's going to happen. But I mean, they don't have a stud running back there. You know, Cam and Le'Veon in the backfield would just be lethal. And I mean, they don't have a ton of weapons on offense anyway, and they don't have a ton of like cap space issues. I mean, when you're allocating like pennies to your quarterback position, like you can spend you can spend a little bit of money to upgrade at running back. It's a luxury, but he's also a weapon that, you know, him and James White on the field at the same time, motion them both out of the backfield into the slot. I mean, those are matchup nightmares all over the place. I would love to see Le'Veon go to New England.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to our guest picker from week 4, Josh, when he broke the news to me. I was out having a bonfire with some friends and roommates, and I was like, we were talking about where he was going, and I was like, he's just going to go to the Patriots on like 1 year, like $100,000 deal, like super cheap, and we're all just going to be like, how did we let this happen? Like, come on,
Yeah.
NFL team. So definitely the Patriots are up there. I'm still going to go with the Bears. I don't know. I just like the Bears.
I just don't know if he'd sign there with David Montgomery. I mean, you know, being a young guy that they've drafted and kind of have used as a workhorse. You know, I just don't know if he'd love to go to that situation, but, you know, we'll see.
We will see. And wrapping up the 1:00 games from this past week, we had Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals going to the Ravens. Ravens win 27-3. Not much from Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. My prediction and what I wanted to see from the Ravens was, can the D-line get to Joe Burrow with that weak offensive line? We had 7 sacks. We had 16 QB hits. So we were getting to Joe Burrow. We were getting into his face the entire game. We had a defensive touchdown from another Marlon Humphrey, Defensive Player of the Year, fruit punch the ball out. Patrick Quinn, Defensive Player of the Week, Rookie Defensive Player of the Year, picked it up, went to touchdown, first-round pick, great first-round pick. Also hit Joe Burrow, his college teammate, really hard. So that's what I saw defensively. It was a really good game. We got a bunch of turnovers, and that's what I like to see from the Ravens defense. Offensively, we threw the ball 37 times. Lamar Jackson threw 37 passes. Now, granted, 11 of them when we were in the 2-minute drill to end the first half. But the Bengals safety, Jesse Bates, is that his name?
Yeah.
Joe? He said after the game, he's like, our game plan was to just cover Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews. He was like, we all knew that he's just going to throw to 15 and 89. Half of Lamar Jackson's 37 pass attempts did go to Hollywood or Mark Andrews. So we do need to get a little bit more creative, get Miles Boykin, Devin Duvernay, Willie Snead, Nick Boyle, even the running backs. We do need to get them more involved in the passing game to spread it out a little bit more. But we're number 1 in yards per carry at like 5.6, 5.7. Let's just run the ball more.
Yeah.
Please just run the ball. Like J.K. Dobbins had 1 rush and it was like a 43-yard touchdown, and he broke like 3 or 4 or a 34-yard run, not touchdown, but he broke like 2 or 3 tackles. That was his only carry of the game. You know, Mark Ingram was running the ball well. Lamar Jackson only had 3 yards rushing. We got to run the ball more. We are a run-first team. I don't know why we're trying to throw the ball. But those were my thoughts on the Ravens. It was really quick, really short. We went up like 20-0, and we were just like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I mean, you know, it's a game the Ravens should win and win easily. So, you know, that's definitely what you want to see. But like you said, I definitely would have liked to see more of the run game, you know, especially when you're already up early. Like, you know, there's not really that much of a point in continuing to pass a ton unless you really need to. And, you know, like you said, just keep being creative. I mean, the Ravens have, you know, a really creative coaching staff and offensive weapons back there. You know, they can do a couple different things with a couple different people. So I'd love to see, you know, just a little bit more creativity as well and just spread the ball around. I mean, you never want to, you know, I love to hear as a Marquise Brown fantasy owner. But I mean, you know, you don't want defenses to know you're throwing at 2 players and, you know, let's see if these other guys can beat you. But that is the game plan to beat the Ravens. I mean, try to contain Lamar as much as you can and shut down, you know, Mark Andrews and Marquise Brown. You know, if you do that and force those other wide receivers to beat you and the run game's not going as well, you know, you never know what can happen. I mean, that's how the Titans were able to win last year in the playoffs. So, yeah, we'll see. Fun matchup next week.
Yeah, the Ravens do have a good matchup against the Eagles, the Flea Flicker Bowl. We could probably do a whole episode just on that, Joe, but we'll be picking that on Saturday, so it's must watch. Maybe we'll put a little wager on it, Joe. I don't know. We'll see. Comment. Yeah, that's what. There's no Thursday night football, so comment what the loser or winner should do between the Ravens and Eagles. I imagine Joe's just going to pick the Eagles just because. But we'll get to that on Saturday.
I've got a good feeling.
But instead
Travis
of
Fulgham.
commenting your pick, comment, whatever wager we should do for the Ravens and Eagles. But moving on, Joe. That's it for the 1 o'clock games. Now moving on to the 4 o'clock games. I don't want to say this was upset of the day because I already said that with the Raiders and Chiefs, but Ryan Fitzmagic and the Miami Dolphins went into San Francisco and won 43-17, the most points scored in that stadium by a road team or even any team, I believe. 43-17, Jimmy G gets benched at halftime for C.J. Beathard, but Fitzmagic, man, was throwing the ball 350 yards, 3 TDs. Dolphins look like a pretty decent team. And I know we both were saying that they're going to be competitive all year, but not like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more of a testament to maybe the 49ers aren't the team that we thought they were. I mean, they've had so many injuries all over the place. They've been hit really, really hard by the injury bug. And I mean, they're struggling. They're feeling it. Like Richard Sherman I don't think he played, did he?
I don't think so.
I don't think he played, yeah. And I think they might be down another cornerback there as well. So, I mean, they're down to like their number 3 and number 4 corner. I forget who number 48 is for the Niners, but he was getting abused. He was getting abused all game by Preston Williams and Devontae Parker. I mean, the Dolphins they came to play. I mean, that defense, they don't have a lot of great pieces, but they play with heart. They play with fire. Brian Flores is a defensive guy, and, they're playing for him. I loved what I was seeing out of them. I mean, they put some big hits on Jimmy G early, and it rattled him. Like, he was rattled for, the rest of the time while he was in there. Yeah, I was really impressed with what I saw from the Dolphins defense, and, it should be really exciting for the future for Dolphins fans.
Yeah, and you nailed it too. Like, maybe the 49ers aren't that good. Good thing is this week they do have the Rams, so we'll see if the Rams are really good. Maybe the 49ers are a little bit better than we think. So it's going to be good to kind of gauge where both of those teams stand. I believe that's also Sunday Night Football. Yay. But then moving on to a game that was kind of interesting with the Colts and the Browns. The Browns ended up winning 32-23. They were winning the entire game. They were in no danger of losing this game. Jarvis Landry had a couple good catches. Odell Beckham had a couple of good catches. So the Browns offense is starting to click, especially against a very talented D in Indianapolis. I mean, but Joe, your thoughts from Colts Browns?
Yeah, I'm surprised with the Colts. I believe I picked them to win this game.
Same.
I'm disappointed with Phillip Rivers, really. Like, it seems like maybe he is cooked. I mean, people are asking Frank Reich if, you consider putting in Jacoby Brissett. I mean, I'm not so sure you don't. Like, Phillip Rivers coming in, with no offseason. He hasn't really developed any chemistry with his receivers. And I mean, they, like a lot of the receivers that, have been there, they've gotten injured. So, I mean, it's new guys each and every week. He's not really getting a chance to develop that chemistry. And I mean, his arm isn't what it used to be. So I really thought that this Colts offense was going to be more ground and pound, ball control. Don't ask Phillip Rivers to throw it a ton. He's not going to turn the ball over a ton. He's going to be doing well off play action. So, I was disappointed with what I saw out of the Colts, and, impressed with the Browns and Kevin Stefanski and what that coaching staff is bringing to the table right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I even said it with Fab. I said, the Colts defense just hasn't been clicking yet, or offense, excuse me, just hasn't been clicking, and they really need to figure it out, because with the defense like this, you should be winning some football games. And, the Browns, they have the Steelers this upcoming week, so we'll really get to gauge to see. Gauge is the word of this episode. I'm saying that so many times. But we're going to see, like, are the Steelers that good? Are the Browns that good? Are the Rams that good? Are the 49ers that good? But Browns win. They're 4-1. They're in a very good spot to make the playoffs for the first time in forever, especially with 17s. But now moving on to, I guess, the trending game of the day in the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys win 37-34. But let's just talk about the elephants in the room with Dak's injury. that was brutal. That sucks. Dak, get better. Thank God it was a successful surgery. Hopefully we can see him back on the field as soon as possible. But Joe, talk to us about Dak's injury, and then give your thoughts from the game overall.
Yeah, I mean, even as an Eagles fan, you never want to see, another player, even on the Cowboys, get injured like that. Especially when, I mean, I don't necessarily love Dak. I know a lot of people think, like very highly of him. I do respect Dak, off the field, and like think he's, a good guy. Definitely like him better than a lot of other Cowboys players. But I mean, it's a really unfortunate situation with the fact that he's been trying to get this new contract. He's playing on the franchise tag, and how this is going to affect him moving forward. I mean, it's a very, very difficult situation the Cowboys already had to navigate with Dak, and now are going to have to continue to navigate with Dak. I mean, these first couple games, he was statistically lighting it up and, putting up a lot of yards, a lot of points, but they didn't have the wins. So it's like, it's a very weird, it's going to be a weird negotiation in the offseason. And probably, I mean, right now, just trying to figure out where you go from here with the contract. Yeah, I mean, Andy Dalton coming in now. I mean, you could definitely have a lot worse backup quarterbacks, and they've got such good weapons that, I think he'll be competent. I mean, I don't think the Cowboys are the favorite to win the NFC East anymore. Unfortunately, it looks like, I don't know. I mean, we'll see how it goes this week, but I mean, the Eagles did look competitive against a good Steelers team last week. If we can, somehow upset the Ravens or be competitive, we'll see. But it could bode well for the way the season finishes. But I mean, it seems like whoever wins the NFC East is going to win at like 7-9, 8-8, maybe 7-8-1. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely deflating for Cowboys fans, and frustrating, and just not a situation you want to see ever. But on the game itself, the Giants were hanging in there. They were doing well. They finally had a get right game for that offense. But just a couple questionable calls at the end with those catches by Michael Gallup. It was great plays on his part. Not so sure if he was in on them, but that's how it goes. And they got the win when they needed it. But you got the win, but it's a deflating one. It feels like a loss.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the Giants' perspective, I think you got to come out with a lot of positives. You put up 34 points against the Cowboys defense, and they had a defensive touchdown, but still you're putting up 27 points against the Cowboys defense, who is one of the worst in the NFL. I think we can go ahead and say that. But out of their 27 offensive points, Daniel Jones didn't throw for a touchdown. It was all rushing and field goals. So that's good news, especially when Daniel Jones can get it in the end zone once or twice in the air. This Giants team is going to be pretty good. And I know that the Giants should have won this game. They had 2 touchdowns, one on a fake field goal, and then one later in the game that were called back from illegal shifts or illegal formation. So there was definitely opportunities for the Giants to score and really put this game away. So if anything, I'm taking a positive out of that. And you nailed it. Andy Dalton is a great backup quarterback to have. And I mean, any former starting quarterback in the league is going to do pretty well when you have CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Ezekiel Elliott. They have Michael Gallup. They have those weapons. So we'll see what the Cowboys do. Monday Night Football next week is Cardinals-Cowboys. So a decent team to kind of get clicking with Andy Dalton, especially an extra day too with Monday Night Football. And speaking of Monday Night Football, we're going to pick Sunday Night Football first. I don't know why I thought we would go straight to Monday night. Sunday Night Football, Vikings and the Seahawks. The Seahawks let Russ cook in the fourth quarter. He was trailing. He goes 95 yards for the game-winning touchdown to DK Metcalf, who the Eagles also passed on. But the Seahawks won 27-26. Joe, my question for you is, if you are Mike Zimmer, do you go for it on 4th and inches on the Seahawks 5, or do you kick that field goal to go up, I believe it was 7 points, so to go up 1 touchdown?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going for it with the way Russ has been playing this year. I mean, the defense had been playing well most of the game. It's not like Russ went off for over 30 or 40 points in this game. They contained him a little bit in the first half, and he really just got cooking in the fourth quarter. I would have gone for it to try to ice it and just not really give him that opportunity. I just think it's a very conservative play by Mike Zimmer. And when you're, what were they? They were 1-3. Now they're 1-4.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, when you've only got one win and you're going up against one of the best teams in the NFL and the Seahawks and one of the best quarterbacks in Russell Wilson, I really think you got to be aggressive there. And you can't just sit back and see what happens. So, props to the Seahawks. Russell Wilson, still, I think, number one leading contender for MVP right now.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's really fun to see what Seattle is doing with some real weapons around Russell Wilson. I mean, DK Metcalf looks like a stud. Tyler Lockett is out here, just one of the best route runners in the NFL. Chris Carson is a productive running back, fights real hard. And then they've got a couple tight ends that, have all been able to contribute in Will Dissly, Greg Olsen, I want to say Nick Van Nett, if I remember correctly. But, yeah, a couple guys back there, that are finally able to make some plays for Russell Wilson. And now we're seeing it all click and come together perfectly for Seattle.
Yeah, you nailed everything. Russell Wilson has a bunch of weapons now, and he can do it himself, on the ground as well if need be. I am a little bit concerned about the Seahawks defense. They have been a little bit shaky. They have been giving us some points recently, but I think once they're fully healthy, I think they'll kind of get back on track. But primetime Kirk Cousins looked like pretty decent in this game. He was really moving the ball, especially in the first half. The second half, they kind of stalled. Dalvin Cook obviously got banged up a little bit, but Madison is a great number two for them. So hopefully if the Vikings can, win, 2-3 straight games right now, get back to 4-4, they're still in it.
Yeah, and I think they got
possible.
I think they got the Falcons this week, so that helps get back on track. And then I think they have a bye. So I believe that Cook is expected to miss this game. They'll have the bye, and then he should be back after that.
Well, if you're playing the Falcons, I think you can miss that game.
Exactly.
But Seahawks win. You're 7-5. I'm 8-4. So is Fab. Now let's go to the next two games, Monday Night Football. The Chargers and the Saints. The Chargers probably should have won this game, but Drew Brees came back, scored a touchdown late to tie, and the Saints win 30-27 in overtime. I really like what I see with Justin Herbert. He was throwing the ball up. He was throwing contested catches. He was trusting his wide receivers like Mike Williams to just go up and get it. And that's why they drafted Mike Williams, to go up and get the ball. He did that a handful of times. He was wide open for a touchdown to go ahead. And the Saints did just enough. Drew Brees did some Drew Brees stuff. Alvin Kamara kind of got vultured from a touchdown by Taysom Hill. But the Saints looked pretty good. The Chargers looked good, but Saints just ended up with the win.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Justin Herbert. I mean, taking those deep shots, hitting them right on the money, getting up after getting hit and continuing the fight. Just great pocket presence, pocket awareness. I mean, he's definitely got some areas that he can improve, but definitely exciting for the future. And definitely an upgrade at the quarterback position over Tyrod Taylor. I mean, they're definitely missing the run game on Austin
Absolutely.
Eckler. Josh Kelly has not really done much with his opportunity, unfortunately. J.C. Jackson kind of came in there and, kind of made some plays here and there. But they've just got to get more consistent in that area. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, they did a good job containing Alvin Kamara. He was not the reason that they won that game. But then they allowed Emmanuel Sanders to go off. I mean, I think he had 10 catches over 100 yards, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Drew Brees did a really good job of spreading the ball around and, not like being able to still find a way to win, even when Kamara doesn't really have one of those crazy great games. So, I mean, definitely exciting stuff to see from the Saints. Would like to see their defense clean up some of those big plays.
Yes, absolutely. So that wraps up Monday Night Football, Joe. And now we're moving to Tuesday Night Football, the COVID special of Tuesday Night Football. Buffalo Bills at the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are COVID team central, but they come out strong. Ryan Tannehill looked really good. That defense looked really good, getting a couple of turnovers from Josh Allen's offense. They win 42-16. Derrick Henry sent Josh Norman back to Buffalo with that stiff arm. But what did you see from both the Bills and the Titans last night or Tuesday Night Football?
Yeah, going into this game, I picked the Bills to win. I was expecting that the Titans were going to kind of come out flat since, they've had these, their games canceled and pushed back, and, it's in question whether it's actually going to happen. They haven't been able to practice. So I was concerned about the chemistry that was going to be there, especially with, guys like Corey Davis not being able to play and, some of the other younger guys having to step up. But I mean, Ryan Tannehill has really just been an incredible story since he became the starter in Tennessee. Just, has not really been turning the ball over at all, and, is spreading the ball around, just doing what he needs to do, just doing his job. Jonnu Smith has been really good at tight end, making plays there. And A.J. Brown had a really good game last night as well. On the flip side, I mean, they did a great job containing this super hot Buffalo Bills offense. Josh Allen looked like Josh Allen from old, turning the ball over on some boneheaded plays. They contained Stephon Diggs. They contained Josh Allen. It looked like they were missing John Brown a little bit there. He might be a little bit of a bigger part of their offense than people give him credit for. So very impressed with the Titans. They're for real. I think it looks like they're, the clear favorite for their division.
Yeah, and I would definitely like to see a rematch in this game, maybe in the playoffs too, because Tre'Davious White was out. The Bills were a little bit banged up with a couple of injuries, so maybe full strength and on a regular schedule, maybe they do come out and win this game. But I'm with you. I thought the Titans would come out flat. They didn't. They proved everybody wrong, which is what you need to do when everybody's thinking that. We all picked the Bills, so that puts you at an 8-6 week. I went 9-5, and Fab went 9-5. So all of our guests went 9-5. Craig got the luxury of the tie to go 9-5-1. So it's a little bit of a flea flicker curse. First time is casual, second time is coincidence, third time it's tradition. So the bar is set for whoever our guest is this weekend to not go 9-5. Hopefully it's better. Hope not, it's worse. But Joe, I mean, that was it for week 5. What were your final thoughts from the week, and what are you looking forward to for week 6 aside from the Flea Flicker Bowl?
I mean, yeah, that Flea Flicker Bowl is so hyped, dude. There's so many great storylines though. I mean, I'm pumped for Travis Fulgham. I'm pumped to just keep watching him, see if he is legit, and this is such a great test for him against the Ravens. I think the last time the Eagles and Ravens played, we were both at that game.
We were. We tailgated together.
In Baltimore, yeah.
You guys came back a little bit, but we stopped you on either the 2-point conversion or the fourth down late in the game.
That's what it was, 2-point conversion. That was Doug Peterson, Carson Wentz's rookie year. Yeah, Steve Smith had a good game against us. So excited to see that rematch. Wish we could be there for it. It's
well, we could. The Eagles are having fans.
I know they are having fans, but I'm sure it's already maxed out already.
I'm
it's
sure
like 7,500.
Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty much the majority of Philly. So I'm excited to see some of the teams bringing the fans back into the stadiums. Seeing the effect that has. It'll be interesting to see what the Cowboys look like without Dak. Just kind of who's going to really step up across the NFL. I mean, who's going to remain undefeated, or who's going to get who's going to still be winless? Are the Falcons or Jets going to get their first win? Probably not.
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco, but Joe Flacco. We'll see. He's elite, right? So we'll see.
He's very elite.
Oh yeah, definitely keeping an eye out for Joe Flacco. How about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really looking forward to the games this week. I think there are some great matchups aside from the Flea Flicker Bowl. Joe Flacco does have the Dolphins, so it could be a winnable game, especially without Le'Veon Bell. But there's a couple of good matchups. Like I said, the word of the day is gauge, to really see, are these teams legit? Are they not? Especially now that we're kind of in a week 4, week 5, week 6. Now we're kind of getting the gears going. So we're really going to see where the state of the NFL is after this week. And then you said, talking about the Eagles with Zach Ertz, potential deadline deals, who could be shopping, who could not be. But that's all I have to say. And definitely come back on Saturday for our picks. You are going to want to watch Saturday's video. And hand up, I made a mistake. I uploaded the video on Sunday, not Saturday. That won't happen again. So come back on Saturday afternoon for all of our picks. If you would like to be our guest picker, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and then comment what you want Joe and I to wager for the Flea Flicker Bowl. But that's all I got, Joe. Any final words?
That's all I got, Timmy B. Looking forward to this Sunday. Sorry we don't have Thursday night football, but that's 2020, right?
Hey, it's all part. We just call an audible, and we'll move that game to Monday. But thanks everybody so much for watching this episode. You enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your night. Whenever you're watching this video, just enjoy the rest of your time awake that day. And we will see you on Saturday. Bye-bye.
Peace.